Welcome everybody to Monday Morning Quartersback. It's been a while, and now in our new location here, we've actually changed studio locations. We moved down the street to a brand new building, and that's taken a little bit of time for us to get everything set up, but now we are set up in our brand new media warehouse, complete with all sorts of electronic doodads. You guys know how it works. We're going to be not just looking at Street Fighter nowadays. You know, part of our new transition into this new building is that we now have the technology to also do Guilty Gear, Strive, and maybe even Mortal Kombat 11, and also still Street Fighter 5 sometimes. Today we're going to be looking at Guilty Gear Strive, and this is one that was picked for us by, let me read the card here, by James Chan, and this is one that he forwarded to us. Thanks a lot to the fan submission. Appreciate that process by James C. Nice work. This is a match that is between an Axel player and a Potemkin player in Guilty Gear Strive. It's a matchup that many people think is really hard, other people think is not as bad as some might say. I don't think anybody's going to tell you that Potemkin wins it, but whether it's impossible or whether it's just a normal bad matchup is going to be in the eye of the beholder. Luckily, our very own UltraDavid is an Axel player and has friends who play Potemkin, and himself has played the big body versus the zoner in many different games. He's played Zangief versus Dalsum in a ton of different iterations on both sides. So I think he has quite a bit of expertise on this. Let's just quit beating around the bush and go up to UltraDavid in the press box for the analysis. All right, David on the field. Appreciate that intro right there. That's very nice of you to say. Yes, it's true, I have been playing Axel in Guilty Gear Strive, and I have been playing against people who use Potemkin a lot. You're also correct to say that I've played as the grappler and as the zoner in a ton of different games, giving me unique experience on this that not many people have. Not many people out there are both the big body grappler and also the annoying little busy bee zoner, but that's me. So thanks to David on the field. And thanks to, I believe it was Jim Cheen, who gave us the recommendation to do this video. Well, let's just hop into it, and I'll tee it up as we're transitioning. Now, here's the matchup. We're going to see it. Nice little tagline for you. Just asking questions. Just asking questions. Potemkin versus Axel. Is it impossible? Might have forgotten the question mark there. Production, can you next time? Thanks. Just asking questions. This is going to be a match between XYZZY, the Axel player, and FAB, the Potemkin player. FAB is famously one of the best Potemkins of all time. He's been a top-level player with the character in a ton of different games, basically every iteration of the game going back decades. XYZZY, also a very strong player, has been strong as well, not just in Guilty Gear in the past, but in other games too, and has done it with a variety of different characters. But early in this game's life, he seems like one of the strongest Axels. He's got a really, really good win rate, and many people are just following him on the game to watch his replays because he's really strong. He's got a lot of good ideas. So let's watch this matchup a little bit, and you're going to get a pretty quick idea of how it goes.
Duel 1. Let's rock.
You might notice so far that this Axel player is going up into the sky quite a bit. It seems like a go-to choice for him. I don't know if you've noticed that yet. There may be a theme to how XYZZY has chosen to play this matchup. All right, well, typically on Monday Morning Quartersback, we let one round play, and then we go back and take a look at the round to see if there's anything to digest. So let's go back and check out to see if there's anything to digest about this matchup. That button there is the jump slash. Goes about half screen, 2/3 screen, thereabouts. It's also cancelable into jump heavy slash, which you saw just there. We can go back there. Here's a couple things it can cancel into: air snail, as well as jump H. That's jump punch. And that's the matchup. Let's talk a little bit about why this is the button that's the go-to. Okay, so you may think to yourself, Axel's got all these buttons, right? He's got a, can you see my, yes, you can. He's got a stand punch 5P that goes about this angle. That seems like it should control Potemkin pretty well. He's got a 6K forward kick that goes at about this angle. Pretty good angle, right? You would think somebody's trying to jump in. Okay, cool. He's got a 2H, 2 heavy slash, down heavy slash, which goes low. It's quite a far low. And his crouching punch, or 2P, is about the same, although not quite as far distance. It's a low, and it goes about here. Bunch of different angles. He's got a special move, which is Sonic Boom, aka Rensen, aka 4/6 slash, and that goes pretty far along the ground, and it's fast, and it does multiple hits. These all seem like nice tools. Why is it that Axel, in the match, almost hasn't done that at all in game number 1? Right, here it is, this jump slash. Let's talk about the things that Potemkin can do. Okay, let's maybe move a little bit farther forward. Let's talk about the things that Potemkin can do. Potemkin has armor in a couple of ways. One is armor through Hammerfall. Starts up pretty fast, although it's not instant. And it gets through a single hit, and it then hits the opponent. And it moves forward. He can cancel it as well, if he would like. He also has armor on a move called Slide Head, which if it hits the opponent, if they're not blocking, or if they're not just in the air, then they'll get knocked down, and he then gets to approach using Hammerfall and then cancel. It's got armor on it as well. They both have 1 hit of armor. You may have already seen one of the things that Axel does to get through that. So because jump slash can Gatling into jump heavy slash, this means that you automatically, as Axel, get to shut that approach down. However, if you're on the ground, you could be doing things. What if you did stand, 5P, 2P, 2H, that kind of stuff, cancel into Rensen? Would that work? It would. However, also, you got to keep in mind that Potemkin has a Mega Fist that's really good in this game. And it can actually get over, it can actually go over 5P. It can actually go over 6K even at certain ranges. And it can definitely go over 2H, which is down here in the doldrums on the bottom. You know what it can't go over? You know what it can't go over? It can't go over these. It has a real tough time getting over jump S, jump P, and that's why you're seeing this. Now, you're noticing as well that Potemkin sometimes will do his own 6P. He looks like he's praying. What's that about? There it is. He's hoping to just trade. What he's really hoping for is to get a counter hit on it, as Axel's jump slash does have a hurt box in it. So he's really hoping for. That's not super likely. So instead, he's looking for a clash, and that clash allows him to cancel into whatever. You can do anything on a clash. Any option is available to you. So he could then cancel it into Hammerfall or Slide Head or whatever it is that he'd like to do, right? To get close or to punish. So he's looking for that. Other than that, let's take a look at the second round here and see if there's any differences in how FAB. Again, one of the greatest Potemkin players of all, probably the greatest Potemkin player. I don't know that I need to hem and haw on that one. Of all time. What does he do in this match? And you can see him trying to jump. You can see 6P come out again. He'd like to outrange, right? So you're safer at that range at far away. You're not going to get hit. But to what end, right? You got to get close eventually. So you see him jumping up and blocking, as is his lot in life. Trying to trade with that 6P. On reaction, XYZZY goes into air snail. On reaction, XYZZY. gets his own RC. So let's talk about a couple of these things towards the end. I don't think that we need to run through the entire second round again. So a couple of these things. As Potemkin gets closer, right? This was a bet here where XYZZY did not press jump slash. He might have been counter hit if he had. He might have at least traded, which would have been, you know, either way, it's not something that he wants. But he's not always doing jump slash, just almost always. Here he does it, and in this instance right here, many characters would be too close actually for Air Snail to connect. So this is actually a situation where many characters would not be in fear of Air Snail because it doesn't actually have a hitbox close to Axel. You actually need to be about here. I mean, it's really, there's a big empty zone here where you actually cannot see it in the middle. Where it actually will not work. So you need to be far away. Unfortunately, Potemkin's so large that he's still also back here while he's also up here, right? So if this were a tiny little character up close, no big deal for them. Potemkin gets caught. Okay, so it's a bet by FAB that he can move forward. Maybe if he connects with the blue RC, he gets a slowdown on Axel, right? In which case Axel is, I mean, not necessarily stuck, but is slowed down for a little bit. He still has an RC himself. But XYZZY responds with PRC, purple Roman cancel. Let me show you this. Right, because he was, I think, still busy with the button down there. And PRC into 2/, his anti-air that has a really nice anti-air hitbox. It goes not quite vertical, something like 80 degrees probably. And on counter hit leads to bonkers damage, 200 plus. And it's really nice. It's pretty fast. It's not the fastest, but pretty fast, especially for an anti-air that does what it does. So pretty much a struggle in game number 1. Pretty much a struggle. The question is as this goes on, whether we see any changes out of how FAB approaches. Okay, yep, he started that way in game number 1. Here it is. Now, I mean, look at that button. 5S from him. It really does have a nice hitbox. Okay, it's a read by XYZZY to escape the situation. We're gonna go back and check that out and see what could have happened if he hadn't done that. But now we have a very much a similar situation from before. XYZZY low profiling with 2K, crouching kick, puts Axel really low to the ground. Maybe hunting for a wall break there, nothing came. Okay, 6P, it's time to party, right? That's the idea. Just like that, FAB is pushed backwards. We'll go back and look at these situations too. Again, trying to get that 6P. Here's Mega Fist, and you see why we're not seeing too many Mega Fists. Okay, so just before we go back and look at the rest of it, why are we not seeing that many Mega Fists? It's got a great hitbox in this game. It moves forward pretty far. Kara Mega Fist goes super far. Why aren't we seeing it very often? Well, here's what you're gonna see exactly why. It's because Axel's 5K can punish it. Axel's 5K is slow. It's not a fast one, but it is a 1-frame punish on Mega Fist. You know, Potemkin could burst here. He doesn't think it's worthwhile, and he's probably right about that. So let's go back and check it out from earlier times. So again, 5S, that really nice anti-air. It's already made Potemkin significant life lead. You know, about a third life lost on Axel. Right? Remember what I said about why aren't we seeing so many 2Hs and Rensens? There it is, right? This exact interaction. Axel can do 2 heavy slash. It's cancelable. Cancel into Rensen. Well, Mega Fist works right over it, right? You can actually block the chains and then get over the special move right after that, as you're seeing right here. So this is part of why we're not seeing it super often. And think about this. I mean, this really is a big moment. So here we are in round number 3. Round number 1 of game number 2. If Axel does not connect with this, right? Just imagine this mix-up doesn't work out for him. Now he's in the corner. Potemkin's close. He doesn't have a way to escape. Potemkin Buster does 40%. any combo is going to do at least that much. And he honestly is in a bad spot. As Potemkin, FAB has built a situation for himself, right? By having this counter hit, right? 5S, which does take up a really good space at the start. Again, right? Blocking, then getting over with Mega Fist. So there are absolutely things that Potemkin can do. We're seeing some of them right here. Okay, what goes wrong after that? Well, I mean, we're seeing the same that we saw before. All right, it's a good read here. This could have been 2S from Axel. This could have been... Let's try to get the spot. This could have been 2S. If 2S, again, I mean, this is a lot of damage. However, Jump Slash from Potemkin does hit pretty far low. Like I said, 2S is pretty fast, but it's not the fastest button in the game. So instead, very smartly, XYZZY makes the choice to get underneath. This is absolutely classic zoner versus grappler tech. In zoner versus grappler matchups, it's very commonly the case that zoners need to know all of their little ins and outs of anti-airs. Yeah, this matchup is obviously strong for Axel, but versus somebody like FAB, if you don't have all of your little tech, you're still going to have a tough time playing against him. So, you know, whether it's Dalsum in Super Turbo or, you know, New in Blaze Blue, whatever it is, like, you need to have your anti-airs prepared. And sometimes that means low profiling. So really good understanding by XYZZY that FAB might have wanted to, you know, trade with 2/, maybe just beat it preemptively by jumping in with early Jump Slash himself. So he got right underneath and went right back to zoning. But, you know, that is a moment there where could have gone quite differently. It's a mix-up here. As we go forward just slightly. Right, this situation here to D. This is Rainwater. This is a special move that Axel has, where he jumps back, and it's actually plus on block. Now, why is it that Potemkin does Hammerfall here? If this had been some other options, if this had been nothing, right? If it had just been 2K2D or 5K2D, as happens sometimes, right? Axel doesn't always want to bet on something. Then Potemkin could get Hammerfall here. In fact, in addition, if it's from farther away, if we're talking about like max range 2D and Potemkin's not in the corner, into Rainwater, there's also a range where Hammerfall does have enough time to start up and get its armor going, which obviously didn't work out right there. So good range by XYZZY to know exactly that. Let's talk about this interplay between how meter works between these two characters. We've seen already twice that when FAB has an RC to set something up, blue RC to try to move forward or slow the opponent down, PRC to try to cancel a move and then create a mix-up out of it. Both times, XYZZY has already had bar and immediately responded with his own RC. Why is that? Well, Potemkin's best ways to build bar are by just moving forward. As you see, as he moves forward, he builds meter. He builds the meter by, blocking. I mean, if he's up close and he lands a Potemkin Buster, he'll get a bunch of meter. But that's, as you can see, hasn't happened yet. So getting hit, yeah. Walking forward is better. Obviously, you don't want to get hit. But he just can't do that very often in this match, as you've seen. He doesn't get to move forward very easily, and that means he's not building a lot of bar. By contrast, Axel is very active. He's doing special moves. He is moving around. He's not just staying still. He is moving forward a bunch, right? We're seeing him walk forward, run forward. We're seeing him air dash forward as well as backwards, to be clear. But building meter in doing all that stuff. So he's got bar. Potemkin doesn't have that much bar. And so when he tries to bet at the end of rounds, might as well spend the bar, right? In this game, you don't get to keep your meter into the next round. Tension's gone. Might as well spend it. Axel's already got 50 tension at least of his own. Wow. Talk about getting flummoxed. So one Rinsen and then right back into Jump Slash. Look at that space. Genius. Okay, this is exactly what Potemkin wants. Now, not a lot of damage and not pressure afterward. However, he did just move half screen. Half stage is really what it is. and that is important. Notice the bar, notice the tension there on Axel's side. He's already over 50. Potemkin's not yet at 50. And he's just not building meter as often as Axel is in the matchup. Okay, so for safety, now having already spent it, oh wow. That may have been a moment. You can see it even controls as Potemkin likes to jump. Chip starting to become a problem. And there's jump punch to just knock it out. You know, another nice thing for Axel in this matchup is that many characters can just duck jump punch, at least at normal sort of regular height timings of it. But Potemkin has to deal with it, even still. He's a big boy. So it's more effective on him than it is for many others. Right, really just kind of the same stuff. Keeping an eye on his range, and notice too, I don't want to describe this as being something that's mindless for XYZZY. Keep in mind where he is as he's doing these jump S's. Is he here? Not very often. Is he full screen? Also not very often. There is a specific spot in between where he stands to try to make this work. Well, stands. I mean, you know, he's trying to be at, more or less. You see this spot that I'm talking about? It's, you know, maybe half screen, thereabouts, where XYZZY's Axel is just very consistently at. Now, it's easier for him to move into that spot than it is for Potemkin. Oh boy, again. Spending bar on reaction, getting some damage, right back to zoning. Axel can pressure, by the way, in this game. It's not like he's devoid of pressure opportunities, nor of ability. But obviously not much reason to do that in the match. Haven't even talked about that one yet, but we'll get into that as soon as the round's over here. Underneath, 2S. I don't know if on reaction that's really fast that you could react to Mega Fist with 2S, but maybe he's really good. Let's talk about, I think it came around here, is another tool that Potemkin can have, at least versus standard Axel stuff. Okay, so yeah. Again, on reaction, XYZZY spending his bar, getting out of there. Here it is, the flick. So Rensen is a projectile. Let's we saw it just before this, which is probably why we saw the flick. So this special move right here is a projectile. It's 3 hits. It's really good. 3 hits means that it beats armor, right? Armor's only 1 hit. Hammerfall, slide head, just loses to Rensen. That's why you see many people do it in Axel versus Potemkin. But here's the solution that Potemkin has. It's right afterward. It's flick. And because Rensen is a projectile, flick will actually reverse it and send, you know, the flames that it does back to Axel, allowing Potemkin to approach, if nothing else, sometimes get a knockdown, or you can create mix-ups out of it, depending on situation. Flick is a nice thing. But this is the first time we're seeing it, and this is game number 3, because XYZZY has almost never done neutral Rensen. Almost never done it. Check out this Rensen that he does earlier. Right? It's not quite meaty. I think his intention here was probably to do it meaty, but it's not quite meaty. But that's it. We have almost not at all seen neutral Rensen because he knows that threat, and if that's a threat, why bother? Let's go back to jump S. So look, it's a rough one for sure. We have seen some things that Potemkin's able to do. 6P, something he's trying right now. We've seen the occasional hammerfall work through this stuff. We did see that corner pressure that was just gold bursted away by XYZZY in a really good mix-up. You know, it's not true that FAB has had no chances for pressure. It's just that XYZZY has guessed out in those couple instances so far. But look at that spot. Again, look at that spot. you know, this is not, it's not a mindless spot. This is not XYZZY moving into places where there's like nothing, where he can just, without thinking, do it. It really is almost entirely in that specific spot. So now Potemkin has 50 meter. What can he do? Well, he gets got. He gets got. So now I believe it's 3-0. This actual video, I know we're kind of going back through it, so it's taking longer, but this actual video is only about 6.5 minutes in. It's already 3-0. So there's another option. Heat Knuckle. It does have an anti-air hitbox. Oh, speak of the devil. And as Axel does jump S, he does have a pretty big hurt box in it. Now, the hitbox is bigger, but it is a significant hurt box too. So right, so there you see, right? The idea, and when Heat Knuckle's blocked, oh wow. The round, oh my god, right? That falls apart so fast. When it falls apart, and clearly it's not very often, but when it falls apart, oof, falls apart fast. So, you know, it wasn't just about the Potemkin Buster. What was it in this round that gave more success to FAB? What did he do? Seeing more Heat Knuckle. What else? 5 at the start, which we've seen very consistently. Right. And then no Hammerfall break. I'm a little surprised to see that. Again, that's plus on block. You don't get anything out of it immediately, but it is plus on block at least. So, okay, so PRC, and this was really the first situation where we've seen Potemkin have bar and Axel not have bar. So it was a couple things, right? It was Heat Knuckle, it was the nicely timed Hammerfall, it was the nicely timed Hammerfall to get up close again into PRC, into Podbuster. So there were a few things there, right? It's not like we're seeing nothing out of FAB here. He's not helpless. But yeah, blowing it up with jump slash, heavy slash. Blowing up that armor. So now in this round, I feel like even more studiously, XYZZY is avoiding a certain range. There's a range where Heat Knuckle's just not gonna work. You gotta be a little closer. No meter yet though for Potemkin to keep it up. Over. Again, almost never do you see that in neutral from XYZZY. A couple times he's done it. It's been at risk. Okay, not thinking about burst. Oh, now it's a good read by Axel. He does jump back, heavy slash, probably into RC, safety on block. You know, if he didn't kill right away, he would have gotten more damage out of that as well. But that's FAB getting close. This game could have already been his. He was close here. And, you know, what can you say? XYZZY guessed out, but FAB did have a chance to take this game outright. And that's really all you can ask for in a matchup, right? Ultimately, it's a player matchup. The player matchup comes into play as XYZZY guesses out. But the character matchup, right, here is FAB pressuring up close, point blank. And just, unfortunately for him, guessing wrong. Aha, part of why we haven't seen too many 5Ps. You may think to yourself 5P is like the button that blows up Potemkin. But Megafist actually does get over it a lot of the time. So we haven't seen 5P very much from XYZZY, in part because of that. Oh, could have been punished. Who would say what? FAB? Oh, it's a whiff punish as well. This could be a wall break. Yeah. Which is awful for FAB because not only is it damage on him and he's lost the life lead, but now that means back to mid-screen. Look at that risk meter. See the little pink bar up there? Look at that. Wow. 6H though, I mean, okay, pretty far. Garuda, interesting. Is that his intention? I don't know. He may just be hanging out until he gets 50 meter and then try something. Oh my god! If so, he almost got it. But not quite. That was a close one. That was actually a close one. So let's go back. I mean, again, the end of the previous round really could have been either way. It was just a guess either way. Okay, great timing, great guess on Hammerfall placement. Could have been something more, right? That could have been 6H. I don't know exactly what Pot would get here. 6H into maybe Mega Fist into corner pressure? I don't, you know, something. But unfortunately, FAB dropped. And then, this is a hit, right? Yeah, he's just late on the RC. He's just late on the RC. Because it wasn't red RC anymore. Yeah, it's a hit for sure. This could be RC into more damage, but he just does it late. I don't know, maybe it's intentional as a pot buster setup. Maybe he did it slightly late. I don't know. But this could have been his round as well. In this round, in the previous round as well, FAB could have taken it. This game 3 could have been FAB's at least a couple of different times. So again, Potemkin, you know, he's struggling here. There's no reason to sugarcoat it. But at the same time, I think you can also see that things like well-timed hammer falls, things like, you know, smart use of meter to get through stuff, to get over stuff, to cancel out of your armor after you've absorbed something, that sort of stuff. And just straight up regular old bulldogging, just jump forward, walk forward, that kind of stuff. It does actually give him chances here.
Let's rock.
Yeah, great reaction. Rainwater, again, it's plus on block. It's really nice, but it also whiffs a lot at certain ranges, and that means that characters can jump forward, they can Mega Fist forward, you know, whatever it is that the character does. Still very, very few neutral Renaissance. Okay, nice. This maybe give him meter. 50, yeah, he's going to spend. And XYZZY, maybe trying to look for a burst bait? I don't know, but tanking it. Oh, interesting. Okay. And he's out of there. So again, we have a situation where FAB gets close and where XYZZY guesses up. So the tail of the tape here is not just, oh, wow, on reaction was amazing. Too far for 2KO. Anyway, not just that XYZZY's character does well against FAB's character, but also that when it comes to the mix-ups, the guessing between the two people, XYZZY's guessed right a lot. And so it takes a matchup that is a win for his character, and it makes it really, really hard. Yeah, I didn't think it was probably worth. That was a screw up there, but I wanted Axel Bomber. One thing we haven't talked about yet is risk. So risk in this matchup is a big deal. Look how often it is that Potemkin's bar is pink all the way up to here, sometimes even higher than that, but very frequently like at least a quarter. Risk bar means that once a combo starts, it doesn't actually start doing scaling until the meter's all the way down, which means that the first several hits are going to do bunches of damage. And that means that when Axel finally does find a hit, you know, Axel's not doing big combos here for the most part. Oh, he can in some situations, but hasn't really been for the most part. But this kills, and it actually might not have if there hadn't been any risk. All right, look at this. All right, that's all unscaled, and so that kills even on Potemkin. How do you avoid risk as Potemkin in the matchup? I mean, it's tough. You build risk because you're blocking. And you build even more risk when you air block. And, you know, as Potemkin, you guys can see how the matchup goes here. How do you not do that? I don't know. I think you just have risk in this matchup. And you're hoping to not take a lot of damage from it. But you'll often see as we watch the final couple of matches here, just how frequently there's a lot of pink on that side. Yep, check it out. It's already at 50. 50%-ish. No, that could have been a cancel. Oh, we'll go back and look at that. That 6P, he got then 5H instead of Hammerfall, I would imagine. He maybe gets 50? Yeah. And again, XYZZY tanking it. Oh, anti-air 5S. Nice, it does hit right above Axel. So FAB, yeah, looking for just something like this. Oh boy. That could have been it yet again. Absolutely that could have been it. Again, this is not just about Potemkin losing to Axel. This is also XYZZY guessing right a lot. Here he is, point blank versus FAB, a monster, a terrifying figure, right up close to him. Look at this hair. It looks like devil's fire. Look at this flame coming out of his skull. Ugh, he's big old red, man. Ugh, he's terrifying looking. Also, the red is super sick. This is the color that I would use, of course. But here he is, right up close. And FAB could have done a mix-up. Maybe he's looking for super on Wake Up. Who knows? Whatever it is, he makes the wrong read. But this read definitely could have been in FAB's favor. It's just a mix-up up close, and XYZZY guesses out of it correctly. So you can't say the story is only about the characters here. It's also about XYZZY playing really, really well. Punish. Oh, I like that punish a lot, actually. That was cool. There's a range where 5k 2D will whiff, so 5k 6k makes a lot of sense. 6k has a better hitbox than you might think. It does hit on the ground a little bit better than you might think. It's not ideal for it, but it works a little bit better than you might think. Over it. Again, we just haven't seen too many Rensons, but there's FAB ready for when it comes out. Again, close to the corner. Meaty Garuda. Looking for burst, probably. Oh, look at these mix-ups from XYZZY. What a set of reads. Again, we see a situation where FAB gets close. Could have done it, just guessed wrong. All right, that's bad news right there for Pot. Let's go back and look at it, right? So here's the situation yet again. He finds a read, I think, on, was it Heat Knuckle that he finds? Oh, right, yep, okay, so jump D, getting the knockdown, here he is, Meaty Garuda, huge plus frames, this is up to like plus 30, if you do it as a meaty like this, huge plus frames, and you can't YRC it because it's a guard break, rather than something that's on block. So you're stuck there. Now, what's he looking for? Ah, close slash. Close slash is plus on block. I think it's +4 even. I should probably have looked that up, but my memory is that it's +4. Remember when XYZZY did the gold burst in game number 1? Right, maybe that's what Potemkin's looking for here again. Or maybe FAB is looking for super to come out right after that. Right, what does he do? He actually jump cancels it and hopes to block. This is a sign that, again, he's looking to bait the burst. You know, he has jump canceled this, he's looking to block. XYZZY guesses right with his 5k. So again, definitely, it could have been close slash pop buster, for sure. And instead it's not. Instead, it's XYZZY guessing right, as he has, like, almost every time. Yeah, it's an underreported story. 2S, 2H after that. Delay the Gatling a little bit, and if the opponent blocks 2S in the sky, they'll actually land into having to block 2H as well. Right over 6k, you could see it flaming away. Wow, he is really, really consistent with that. And so you see like why they're so rarely Rensen or 2H in neutral. Oh, and the wall break. Oh, it's still very doable. FAB screwed it up. FAB, the greatest Potemkin player, screwed it up. I mean, what can you say? This is, again, a situation where, you know, Axel's doing a lot of damage. He's got a lot of screen control, gets the wall bounce. There's clearly a lot of stuff going for him. But, right? Jump slash. What's the option? Okay, yes. Okay, yes. Okay, yes. And he probably wanted fast. Let's go back and just watch that live. Yeah. And that's just not at all what he wanted. Throughout this, let's go back. Back to the booth. Thanks for watching that with us. Throughout that, you can definitely see that there's an advantage for Axel, right? There's no use denying that. This is a matchup that Axel, the character, wins over the character, Potemkin. However, right, there's a lot that you can see that both players know that Potemkin can do, and so XYZZY really tailors his gameplay to specific options, not doing Rensen in neutral very often, not doing 2H in neutral very often, really not doing 5P in neutral very often, 6K very often, etc. Really sticking to jump slash, occasionally other stuff, right? But vast majority of the time is that. Because he knows he's worried about flick, he's worried about hammerfall, he's worried about slide head, he's worried about mega fist, all these options that Potemkin does have, and that FAB did use and did get close with in some of those instances. And so throughout that, it ends up being, in score-wise, a dominant performance from XYZZY. But you could definitely see that there were many moments when FAB just didn't guess right? And sometimes it comes down to that. Sometimes you lose because you just didn't guess right in those up-close situations. But FAB was in range for Potemkin Buster more. He did have a chance to get a bigger combo at the end there, or reset into Pop Buster, right? Either way, it was kind of worst-case scenario for him that the combo was over. Without him even being close at that point. He could have had different mix-ups up close. He looked for a burst when there wasn't the burst. Like, he tried to press when there was a burst, right? It didn't work out for him in those mix-ups, but his character, and he did build the chances. So, in conclusion, you know, can you watch this set and think, is Potemkin versus Axel impossible? Is this an impossible matchup? Character-wise, it's not an impossible matchup. It's a difficult matchup. That is true for sure. But it's not impossible because FAB got close. Once he gets close, which is the whole point of his character, if he doesn't win, that's on him, the person. That's the person versus person matchup. That's not the character versus character matchup at that point. Person versus person. And in those situations, in this specific set, XYZZY had the better of FAB. I would imagine that there are many cases where FAB gets the better of other people. I've certainly seen that happen, right? It's just seeing him in tournament play and seeing other Potemkins versus Axel versus other Axels. I've seen them guess right up close. That can happen. So really what you can say about this is that Potemkin has the ability to get close, but it's difficult and not likely to happen as often as Axel maintains control. But when he does get close, he definitely can win. That's on you. Sometimes you just got to guess right more often. All right. Hey, that's the life that you sign up for. When you're the big body grappler, when you're Potemkin, and it's an archetypal thing, not just about Potemkin, but when you're Potemkin, when you are Iron Tiger, when you're Zangief, when you're Abigail, when you are Ferritor, whatever game, very commonly there's a zoner that gets this kind of matchup against you. And it's really rare that the big body grappler beats the dedicated zoner. It's happened a couple of times in a couple of games, but it's very rare. And so if you're going to play that character, you kind of have to know that and either have really good character knowledge, player knowledge that allows you to overcome it, or counterpick. And FAB is not going to do the counterpick because he hasn't for the last 20 years, and it's probably not going to start for him now. So again, shout outs to XYZZY. He played extremely well. I think this really showed how the matchup can go at a high level. Yes, control by Axel, but also Pot has chances. At that point, it's between the players. All right. Thanks a lot for joining us in this analysis. By the way, beautiful day out here in Berkeley, California, here in July, when it looks like there's a college football game going. This is college football season. So thanks for the Cal Bears for getting things out here and playing the game and probably getting dunked even worse than FAB. Shout outs to everybody. Let's go back down to David on the field. First off, I don't know why the swipe at our gracious hosts, California Golden Bears football team, for allowing us to do this on the field here. Look at all these people who've showed up specifically for Monday morning quarterback. I don't appreciate the slight against the team. Are they bad? Sure. Have they not been to the Rose Bowl in longer than most human lifetimes? Sure. Okay, fine. Actually, point taken. You're point taken. But thanks again to the Cal Bears for letting us be here. Thanks for the breakdown on Axel versus Potemkin. Potemkin versus Axel. Very interesting matchup. Clearly one that Axel wins again, but also clearly one that Potemkin can have chances in if the player himself or herself actually makes those correct guesses. Very interesting breakdown. That's going to be it for Monday Morning Quarterback. Again, in our new studio where we have set up all sorts of new technology and doodads. We are doing not just Street Fighter V anymore, but also Guilty Gear Strive, Mortal Kombat 11, maybe something else. We'll see what else comes out. Thanks a lot for joining us for today.